in HD. That's right, I went and finally purchased with my cloth, paper, scissors money a brand new beautiful camera. So this is what I recorded last week with, which is just a point and shoot camera, which is actually a nice camera. And this is what I'm recording you with now. This beautiful bloggy, and you can see how much of a mess my room and my brother's doing stuff over there. So now we're all pretty and in HD, and hopefully you can see me because it's around 5:30 and the sun is beginning to set, and I am finally getting this vlog finished and done. But anyway, this week I was asked to talk about Inktense pencils, which are really cool and really fun and easy to use, and one of the staples that I carry in my purse with me everywhere because they're watercolor pencils basically, and you can carry a bunch of them with you as well as a water brush in your purse, and you're ready to go at a moment's notice. But before we get to the pencils, there are other things on my mind. The first is that I've been working a lot in my journal lately, which is partly because of the various meetups I go to and people that I know and talk to. And first, I went out to Glendale for our mixed media group, and one person showed up with her friend, so we sat there and played. But I was able to play with some of the Prima Marketing Donna Downey stamps, which are huge. They're foam mounted on plexiglass, and they were a ton of fun to play with, so I kind of just worked on one journal page, tried a stencil that didn't really work out, and then ended the night with stitching some stamped paper or stamped fabric in my journal. I also used this shop's die cut machine to make myself some new stencils to use, which is tons of fun and easy and inexpensive. And if you don't have any of this really thick stuff lying around, you can always use thicker paper, cardstock, or stencil blanks from Hobby Lobby, as I will be doing with the brand new die set that I bought as retail therapy last week. Pretty, pretty blossoms! And then Saturday, as usual, was spent journaling out in public with Becca, and I got some more stuff done. Just painted and kept painting and layering and layering and layering paint, because layering paint is so much fun. You gotta love layering paint. Anyway, I did that on Saturday with Becca. But the most important news, well, there's actually two pieces of important news now that I've actually, gone 3 days past when this was due, is my article in the current, now on stands, issue of Cloth, Paper, Scissors, which I actually started working on in February or March, and it's fantastic to actually see the efforts all put together in a nice, pretty magazine. They're all about my journal pages that I do on Canvas, and if you're interested in more, there's a little tiny workshop that I put together last October for the 21 Secrets gang for the first time around. And since it was already used in 21 Secrets, it's only $10, so learn some more about how I work on Canvas. Derwent Inktense pencils are as versatile as colored pencils, but with a firmer texture that allows them to perform with the brilliant intensity of traditional pen and ink. These pencils are available in strong, vibrant colors which work beautifully on their own or can be mixed together to create rich, subtle tones. The pure, clean colors are perfect for bold, expressive drawings, including fashion illustration, landscapes, greeting cards, and more. Inktense pencils can be used dry for rich, intense color, or washed out a little with a little water to create a vivid, translucent effect. Once dry, the color is permanent and can be worked over with other media. I also supplement my supply of Inktense pencils with a Derwent Graphite Water Soluble because the outliner pencil is crap. Don't buy the outliner, you're wasting your money. If you really want to stay within the Inktense family, get the charcoal gray pencil. Or just get the water soluble graphite because it's so useful in other applications. And then you can layer these pencils together. So, for instance, you can do it and just do one color and just pull that out and do a wash or something. Or you can layer two colors on top of each other and get a whole new color. Who knew? Anyway, you can continue on in your wonderful journey and work over gesso, which is actually a lot of fun with these. I find that using watercolor crayons, watercolor pencils, anything that's water soluble, I enjoy using over gesso more. And that's because gesso is actually made to make your surface non-absorbent. And so what that means is that whatever you're using over it is going to move, just swoosh out more. And you're going to get a larger wash and have more control over it that way. Whereas when you're working over just paper, or I've worked over scrapbooking paper, it's going to go to a certain amount and then it's going to stop working. You know, you're not going to be able to pull any more color out, which actually I like using for shading around stuff. And so you really need to experiment working on these two different surfaces to really kind of find out and understand what you enjoy and what kind of effect you're looking for. So I just kind of layered together some different colors on the flower and tried to pull those colors out from the edges by just going over it once really lightly. That's going to give you a light wash and light colors being pulled out of there. And then I wanted to show you how you can just do bigger washes. So at the beginning I showed you just doing it on printmaking or watercolor paper, and here's what it looks like on gesso, which is really, really cool looking. And you can really kind of see the texture of the gesso and blend the colors together and have a lot more control, and it is really fun. Now, one thing that I really love using the Inktense pencils for is detail work. I like coloring lips, eyes, different flowers or details on them where you can't really get in there with paint without it bleeding over the lines, and crayons don't really get in those nooks and crannies. And since these Inktense pencils become permanent when they dry, unlike watercolor crayons or watercolor pencils that you would be using on here, you can layer over it with other mediums and not have it swish and influence it. So writing with these is a lot of fun, and I really wanted to show you the difference between writing with these over a gesso painted / gel medium surface opposed to working over watercolor paper. When you work over the gessoed surface, it really bleeds out and becomes that bright, vivid ink color, and you can't really see the colored pencil lines anymore. Yet when you work over just any kind of paper, cardstock, watercolor paper, whatever, it gives it more of a wash look, and you can still see the actual colored pencil lines of your writing. So depending on what you're working on, you might want to be able to see the colored pencil markings, and you might not want to. It depends on, again, your own personal aesthetic. So the final thing I wanted to show you about these pencils and this little primer that I put together is this. And this comes with a story. You see, a couple of months ago, I designed a blog layout for Kim over at Bliss Artworks, which you should go visit her site and or ask me to make your site look pretty. And she did a watercolor background and said, well, I use these glaze pens that are clear. And she told me she learned them from something, but I can't remember who taught her, so I'm sure she'll come in the comments and let you know. I was like, well, if you can use these as a wash with watercolors, why not use them as a wash with watercolor pencils? So I did that. I drew a little picture, and it's nice to do this when you actually have light coming down on your paper so you can see where you're writing, because they're clear. You can't see anything unless you have that little, you know what I mean. You have to hold it at a certain angle and you can see. Anyway, you do this and then I color over it and I get a really cool effect. And I'm like, why not do this over any number of things? Layers underneath it, or scrapbooking paper so that pops up through your water, you're working. What if you use gel medium and then use this as a resist, and then you could see through that medium? I mean, it's just like a resist on top of a resist. Now I'm going to show you a couple places where I've used this in my journal, and I hope I've at least given you a primer of different effects that you can use these for. They're just really bright, intense, can be worked over, they're really great. If you can get a set with a coupon from somewhere, go for it. I really, really love these. I use these in my mixed media work all the time. That blue, that is Inktense all around it. Here's some cool effects. This is over gel medium. Here's some flowers I drew, and this is also over glaze or gel medium. And I colored in these hearts. And here's one more fun application, is I put a flower through my die cut machine, and then I colored it with the Inktense, and it's craft paper, and it looks really fucking awesome. So now that the sunlight is properly dying, I am going to say goodbye for this week. And as always, leave in the comments section, either here on YouTube or on my blog, what you would like me to explore for you next week. Or else I'm just going to tell you whatever the hell I want instead of helping you out. I'd probably find something to do. So, this is where you say bye.